Hello, I'm Dr. Kortni Alston. I have great news to share. Dr. Kortni Alston and Company's training website is now live. Yes, it's now live. There you'll find our latest course, Finding Happiness After Loss, fueled by positive psychology. Finding happiness after loss will help you with suffering the loss of a loved one, breakup or divorce, diminishing health, job, and more. I understand because I became a widow at 25 years old and dealt with several losses and transitions in my life, from layoffs, my mother's death, and even divorce. This course is everything I wish I had when I was suffering. It's also packed with my area research, which is in positive psychology, and resources I've discovered before I became a happiness scholar. It's about grieving, honoring the process, and finding happiness after loss. Learn more by visiting drcourtneyalston.com/training. Now, let's get back to the podcast. Welcome to the Courting Happiness Podcast. This is a space where self-care becomes part of your day. A space where you learn evidence-based strategies to help your life, share it with those you love, and cultivate well-being at work. I'm your host, Dr. Kortni Alston. I'm a former news director, television reporter turned happiness scholar, TEDx speaker, and transformational trainer. I also understand hardships. While working my dream job in television, I lived a nightmare suddenly becoming a young widow after 86 days of marriage. I became committed to learning more about resilience, healing, and happiness. This is how I discovered my area of research, which is positive psychology. Now I'm living my calling of training individuals and organizations on happiness. And my new chapter begins with being happily engaged. The Courting and Courting Happiness is about a true courtship. I like to say commitment with happiness. The K in courting stands for the vulnerability of sharing my story, inspirational interviews with phenomenal people, the infusion of positive psychology, and so much more. You'll learn how to commit to your well-being one episode at a time. I hope you subscribe and share. So, are you ready? Let's get started. Welcome to episode 53. I am Dr. Kortni. I'm so happy that you're here. Thank you so much for listening. There is nothing like a good podcast, right? I love them. And today is all about podcasts that this happiness scholar, well, that I can't live without. And if you're looking to write, create, paint, dream big, build a business, or just take a leap into the life you love, well, I have some podcasts that need to be a part of your library that are something or really resources that I continue to refer to. And I must admit this, when I am commuting, I love them. It's like having my own cheering squad or my own motivational speaker or my own champion that is sharing such great information every step of the way. So today, I'm going to share my top 6, yes, top 6 business, marketing, and creativity podcast. So let's start with I'm just starting with number 1. It's my list is not based on any type of hierarchy or anything like that, because all of them are just phenomenal. But I just wanted to share the top 6 that I just can't live without. And one of them happens to be the Marie Forleo podcast. I am a proud graduate of Marie Forleo's B School. I can't get enough of her podcast. She is funny, clever, inspirational, and just brilliant. Her episodes inform, provide best practices, and motivate. And that isn't all. Her YouTube channel, Marie TV, is exceptional. As you guys know, I'm a television reporter, a former television reporter and news director, now turned happiness scholar. And so Ken, who's my fiance, who's an award-winning journalist, we love all things production, and we love the production value of Marie TV. And not only is the production value great, the resources are phenomenal, and the guests that she has are just incredible, from Brene Brown to Elizabeth Gilbert, and just so much more. Now, Marie is a New York Times bestselling author. She's a thought leader. And did I mention that she has been on Oprah's Super Soul Sunday? Yes, this woman is incredible. Plus, she just happens to be a Jersey girl just like me. And I will say this, that the Marie Forleo podcast is something you certainly don't want to miss. So next up is the Online Marketing Made Easy podcast by Amy Porterfield. Now, this is also a top-rated business podcast. It inspires you to take action on your marketing goals, from either starting a business, from in terms of creating an online course, or even a podcast. So Amy is your girl, and I love all things Amy Porterfield. And one of the things I love happens to be her course, List Builder Society. But I actually enrolled in B School, Marie's course, through Amy. So with Amy. And because of that, my bonus was a course from Amy called Systems That Scale. Ooh, that course is incredible. Talk about the queen of organization. That is certainly Amy. She truly is. So I adopted many of her strategies that I found in Systems That Scale. I love it so much that I have it because they gave us access for a certain period and we were given permission to download it. And so I have it in my Dropbox as this great go-to. And then also it's a really wonderful resource for me to continue to really build a model that's going to not only really kind of serve, but also it helps me not feel so overwhelmed. Does that make sense? Because sometimes when you are thinking about how to do all of these things, from the podcast and maybe creating an online course on top of building your company or public speaking or whatever the case may be, right? And I love Systems That Scale because it is like my go-to resource on all things as it relates to professional organization. It has helped me so much in terms of helping me make decisions as it relates to how to hire a virtual assistant, what the job description needs to be. And I could just go on and on and on and on. It is phenomenal. So again, I had access to this because it was a part of my bonus experience with Amy through Marie Forleo's B School. But I'm so happy to hear that now Systems That Scale, she is selling it, and it is incredible as it relates to the course. But although I've just mentioned how I've adopted so many of her strategies, and I could clearly go on and on and on about Amy Porterfield. But another thing that I love about her podcast, I also love how vulnerable she is. She discusses so much in terms of her personal life. It really kind of gives you an idea in terms of a day in a life of Amy. She shares her life of being a wife. She shares her life of being a stepmom. She shares so much, even her incredibly adorable dog Scout. And I love that she kind of opens her home to us in terms of allowing us to have a greater insight in terms of who she is. Plus, I also love the fact that she has talked about challenges in terms of weight loss and all of that, in terms of what that it covered, right, in terms of either emotional eating and or other dynamics. I just love that she just shares it. She doesn't really hide anything. I love how transparent she is. And I just am so enamored with her, as you can tell, as I'm continually going on and on. But I am totally team Porterfield and totally team Forleo. Really incredible women who are truly about helping their community, which I'm so grateful to be a part of in terms of making a positive impact. So clearly, these top two that I just mentioned, right, are incredible podcasts and also incredible as it relates to helping to inspire your journey. Now, are you ready to innovate? Maybe it's writing that book. And trust me, I'm also talking to myself because I'm in the process of that now. Maybe it's also painting a masterpiece that you've already had kind of visualizing, um, or anything creative when you think about it. Well, the Unlock Creative podcast is for you. It's hosted by Siobhan Jones, and she is known as a creative mentor, and she is so incredible as it relates to helping people unlock their gifts for soul restoration and more. I often love telling Siobhan how amazing and phenomenal she is because she really is. I love listening to Siobhan's podcast because it provides so much insight. And also, she is an incredible teacher, and she does this amazing job in terms of helping us showcase our creativity in the world. Every episode gives so many great practices or motivational messages or just wisdom, great wisdom as it relates to unlocking your creativity. On top of that, her interviews, incredible. Even today, as I was driving to work, that was the first podcast I listened to. And she had an incredible episode talking about self-publishing. And I was so happy to hear. I said, wow, this is great. The person she's interviewing is phenomenal. And she is such a phenomenal person as it relates to interviewing. She's incredible. So it's really a great program as it relates to um, being inspired, and also allowing you to kind of move in the direction of greater connection and then also greater inspiration to create. She is spectacular. So, Siobhan Jones, the Unlock Creative podcast, is something you have to include in your library. So, another is Market Ready with Jeanette Jordan and Maisha Slay. And it's a podcast that provides insight on how companies bring products to market. Now, it provides an in-depth approach to product marketing that will inspire, empower, and elevate your strategy. These two share lessons and their experiences leading product launches and working in tech. Jeanette is one of my dearest friends. She is brilliant. I'm looking forward to sharing more of her work with you. She's also featured in Essence Magazine in terms of an article that is titled Black Women Sharing Advice on Creating a Career Exit Strategy. Yeah, she's pretty powerful, and she will empower you to take a leap in whatever your dreams are. And so, Market Ready will certainly get you ready. And it's a podcast, so you should certainly add to your library as well. So we're getting close to our top six, right? We're almost at the end here. And as I'm sitting talking about Jeanette and Siobhan, who I am so proud of, these are two incredible individuals that I know personally. I'm so grateful for the fact that Siobhan has been on this podcast, that she listens, and she's a listener of Courting Happiness, and I'm a listener of her podcast, and she is just exceptional. And then Jeanette, gosh, I'm just so proud of her. I've known her for oh God, it has to be over 10 plus years. I haven't done the math recently, but probably maybe 15. I'm not sure. Jeanette's probably listening, going, "You don't know." And but these are just two incredible women that I'm so grateful that I can say that I know. And I've had an opportunity to meet Shaban. Here she is, all the way in Australia, which is one of the reasons why I love podcasting so much, and how it's connected us. And my dear friend Jeanette, who's across the country. So I have another friend, and she hosts an incredible podcast, and it's called Candid Conversations with Candia Johnson. And it will help you find your voice. I just finished literally today while I was in class at the university where I serve as an assistant professor. And I was in my public relations class, actually, and I was talking to my communication college students about all things Candida, a true communications guru. She's worked for the top consulting company in the world and has really created a highly sought after company of her own. So if you're looking to communicate with confidence and build your skills in leadership, Candia can help you do just that and more. And I will say this, that one of the things I love about Candia and I've known each other since undergrad. So we've known each other for a couple of decades now, and I am so grateful for her friendship. I remember when I did my first TED Talk, she was right in the audience, and I just treasure her. She and I, when we talk, I feel like there's like no time has passed. Have you had a friend like that? Every time you get on the phone, even though you might not have talked in, I don't know, maybe a few months, maybe even a year or so, right? But when you speak with him, it's almost like it didn't skip a day. And I love every conversation with her. Her podcast, again, will help you find your voice. So if you're looking in terms of building your skills and building them with confidence in terms of your skills and communication, Candia can help you do just that. So now we're approaching our last one, but it's maybe last, but it's certainly not least. We're at the end of our list, and I'm going to wrap it up with one of my business coaches. Her name is Carrie Green, and her podcast is She Means Business Show. And Carrie, well, she truly means business. I began my journey with her literally on her podcast, just listening and taking in all the wisdom. I started listening to her messages and started following her across social media. And I was pretty glued to her YouTube channel, which really provides great information in terms of, best practices in business. But then also, as it relates to her interviews, I love the people that she interviews, and really just some transformative stories that will just empower you to just go for it. I was also drawn to her vulnerable style as well. I'm noticing a theme here, right? That I value that level of vulnerability, because I think it's great. I think it's great to be able to share elements of yourself, right? And so that's I felt so drawn to Amy Porterfield and so drawn to Marie Forleo. And I'm sharing this in terms of people that I don't know personally, right? But either have invested in one of their courses or work with them kind of like indirectly in that sense, but not directly. Like I know Jeanette and I know Candia, and I am so grateful to know Shaban. So what I love is that level of vulnerability allows us to really get to know that individual. So Carrie is not only that, but she's also extremely informative. And I also love how she is open to share not only best practices, but moments when she questioned herself. So, maybe sometimes that didn't seem very perfect. I love that she shares this. And I'm not alone when it comes to her fan club, because I'm part of her membership community. So I'm a paid member of the Female Entrepreneur Association, and it has nearly 6,000 members. 6,000 members, nearly, literally 5,900 plus. It's an incredible community with such great energy. I love sharing in that group. I love reading posts in that group. I love feeling that level of positivity in that community. It is really, truly exemplary. And it houses countless courses. And they have, as I mentioned, an extremely engaged private Facebook group. And the community also will partner. I haven't done this yet, but they have a partnership dynamic, an accountability partner that can help you achieve your goals. So what I believe is that you could partner with another member and literally serve as each other's cheerleaders. I haven't done that yet, although I've been thinking about it because I think it's phenomenal. And I also love the idea of doing that because it allows me to connect with someone. I love connecting with people. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why I love our community so much, because there's so many people within that group that are so open all over the world, literally all over the world, because Carrie is based out of the UK. And what I love is having women from all over the world. And we are so supportive of each other. And it's so positive. It's incredible. It is incredible. Like I said, that community, female entrepreneur, FEA, it's called. It's just an incredible organization, an incredible community led by really a true powerhouse in regards to all things, well, all things in terms of our goals and aspirations. She's really done an incredible job as it relates to creating a community, but then also creating a space, a safe space for us as creators or entrepreneurs or authors or coaches, however that individual may want to define themselves in terms of their work. It's just this great place to be able to share and to be able to talk about how far you've come too. So again, another person that I can talk about forever. But I think those are great signs, right? That I can talk about these incredible people who are all women that are doing such amazing work and are truly, truly making a positive impact in this world. So that is our list, or I should say my top list, right? And it's amazing how positive, or really how incredibly powerful, I should say, that the podcasts are, and really how podcasts can be powerful. Because when I look back at this list, many of them became people, as I mentioned earlier, that I didn't know, but every episode I began to get to know them. It's probably one of the reasons why I can share, talk about Amy's incredible dog Scout and her amazing husband Hobie, who Ken happens to know of too, because we talk a lot about the brilliance and the incredible work done over in that household in terms of their partnership as husband and wife and all that Amy has created as relates to her company. So it's interesting how it can connect us, right? It also builds a level of trust. And it also builds this level as relates to admiration, because as you can hear, I have these women, all of them that have made this list. I hold them in high esteem. And for many of them, it started with the podcast. And for those who I'm so fortunate to call friend that are in my life, it either started, well, it didn't start with the podcast, right? Because there's so many different dynamics. But I will say this: I love the fact that as my friends that have podcasts, because I literally feel like I can carry them. Like, oh, you know what? Need a little bit of wisdom. I'm going to listen to, and it's wonderful to be able to say that. And it is an honor when someone shares that with me, when they say, wow, I love listening to your podcast. I love listening when I'm, jogging, or I'm going for a walk, or, another, a girlfriend of mine recently shared with me. It allows me to feel that you're with me. And I go, oh my gosh, I never thought of that. And I'm like, oh, you know what? I feel the same way about the podcast, a podcast that I'm listening to. So if you are thinking about creating this happy space in a happy place as it relates to creating, maybe building a business, or simply just taking a leap, whatever that may be, I hope these top picks will help you make your last quarter of the year the best one yet. I'm so grateful that many of these podcasters, again, are in my life as a trainer or in my corner as a friend. Guys, I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for listening. And I would also love to hear about how these podcasts have helped you too, including the one that you're listening to right now. Wishing you all the best. Let's continue this conversation online. Email us at podcast@drkortnialston.com. That's podcast at drkortnialston.com. Join us on Instagram at Courting Happiness. Don't forget, that's courting with a K. Also, I hope you join our private Facebook community. You can find us at Courting Happiness Podcast Community. Our private Facebook group is a safe haven to share, meet more people looking to build positive relationships, focus on well-being, and create a happier life. Now, are you ready to spread happiness? We hope you subscribe and share this podcast with your family, friends, coworkers, and all the important people in your world. We release a new episode every Thursday. Congratulations on your continued commitment to your courting happiness journey. Thank you so much for listening. We want you to be well, be happier, and be kinder to yourself. We can't wait to see you next week.